I try not to add too many of these things that are with the personal people in my life, but I just have to sometimes. Yesterday being December 14th, which happens to be my ex's brother, Joe Gross, my ex-wife, Jen, her brother, Joe. Yesterday was his birthday. Well, Joe happens to be the tie between my two families. My ex-wife happens to be his sister. He was messing around with a girl named Brittany that happened to be the person that I met afterwards and had two more children with and dated for 7 years. So Joe is the brother of my ex-wife and how I met my ex-girlfriend. So he's the link between the two. Well, yesterday on his birthday, Brittany's old best friend, Jessica, which happens to be Jen and Joe's other sibling's name, it's Jennifer Clark, Jessica Clark, and Joseph Gross, because he was from a different father. So Jen has a sister, Jessica, and then Joe. Brittany has a sister named Angelica, almost a mix between Joe and Jessica. Silly, I know, sure. But Brittany's best friend, Jessica Stroop, comes in yesterday, and it happens to be on Joe's birthday. After all this stuff that I was just talking about, it being Joe's birthday with my mother in the morning before I left to come in, just wild, weird stuff. So many other things happened yesterday, and I would go into them if people actually want to know, but it's about me, so I'm not trying to tell you anything like, wow, my life literally plays out right in order, and I see it all the time. But if I kept telling people, it freaks them out, and they just go, okay, well, I want to go about pretending and go living in the fake world and make money, and, I got stuff I have to do. I got to send out this FedEx box. And speaking of that, the guy who came in today, which is the day after December 15th, he used to be married to a girl named Erica Webb. There's a detail about that in my past, but either way, Erica came in the other day, and her husband, Kevin Courier, happened to come in today wanting to send a FedEx box. Now, if you know what a courier is, or a carrier, someone who's a male person, they call him a carrier, and Kevin Courier came in looking to send out a FedEx box. This kind of stuff isn't just coincidental. It's beautiful and it's comical, yet sometimes it's very deep and scary because the world is that. Because we're doing so much weird shit knowing that we shouldn't. And even if we don't know we shouldn't, if we just thought about it for a minute and thought, hey, this is toxic stuff, this is horrible for each other, why are we doing this? We'd obviously know that's the case. Instead of saying, well, we have to. We've got to actually get a grip and think deep enough to say, I don't care if this is what we've been doing. It needs to change. It needs to stop. And it needs to do it now or soon. I'm not just saying these things because I think they're funny or they're just ironically coincidental. These are real things on an everyday basis all the time. And I'm pointing them out with specific people. The other stuff that happens is cosmic. And if I tried to tell you that I see things before they happen in TV and media, it's almost as if everything I see, oh, I've already seen that before somewhere. It's not like it's just on the top of my mind, but nothing is new anymore. We're not doing anything new. We're just doing the same things over and over and updating the quality of the graphics or updating the quality of the sound. We're not doing anything new when it comes to building as individuals and building as communities and as civilization. And that's what we can do if we come together. And my job is to bring us together and keep insisting that what is necessary is getting back to nature and caring about each other. The simplest things are the answer. Love is the key. And you can learn it from me if you don't have it in there somewhere. I have enough that can go around for everyone. I promise. Till next time. So with these last few days being so odd with the Joe birthday and Jessica's showing up, it brought Brittany back up into the mind. So I started mentioning Brittany's family members, like her sister Angelica and her father Bobby Wilson and her stepdad Cross and her mother Sheila. And then somebody from my past from 8 years ago comes to the store who doesn't live anywhere around here. Once again, Jessica, who's from the other side of town, comes over here the magical day that she happens to be there on Joe's birthday. Now, just right after that, I'm talking about how that whole family is entwined and all this stuff makes sense, how Joe connects the two with Brittany's family. Well, Brittany's mother's name is Sheila, and one of my old good buddies from back in the day, her name is Sheila. And she happens to show up at the store, out of town, comes in, and she goes like, well, now I know where you are. I've been married for going on 10 years now. I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm like, yeah, and I just brought you up your name, specifically your first and last name, 2 days ago. And I didn't work yesterday, and here I am, and here you are. Do you think this stuff is just coincidence? Because if you do, forget it. There's no point of me talking anymore. If only people understood what I'm saying and understood what it's like to have this happen to me all the time, and then have people who don't know me and don't know how honest I'm being think that I'm full of shit, or looking at me going, so what's any of that matter to me? And I'm saying, I'm showing you how it's working for me, because I can also show you how it works for you and how it works for the planet, how it works for the world we're in. Why doesn't anyone take that seriously? I know that it's hard for anyone to understand that, but there happens to be someone who does understand the universe. And it happens to be me. And I'm telling you about it with an open heart, straight out. What else do you want from me? For just 1 minute, try to think of all the things that are unnecessary, that don't need to be being done, that are still legal and sanctioned and so-called allowed by governments and considered legal. But they're still harmful, and they aren't doing anything other than producing money or producing a product. All of those things actually need the involvement of a human effort and a human mind that says, wait a minute, what I'm doing isn't right, and what I should be doing is stopping what I'm doing. That includes the spraying of chemicals. That includes all the things that are being toxic. There's so many of them. But since so many are approved, people get away with it. This is where we have to stand up as people, open our hearts, and learn how to think properly. That's why. So then we won't be just chasing after money by providing garbage to each other. It gets sad and somewhat discouraging when multiple people in a row, one guy comes out really heavy, tall, heavy, long hair, no offense to any of his details, comes in just to use the bathroom, and then comes out and grabs a couple bags of chips and says, if it makes you feel any better, I'm a high school social worker. I'm like, that doesn't make me feel any better. Why would that make me feel better? Then I explained a couple things to him, and he's like, oh, I'll check out your channel. And then the next lady comes up and she's like, oh, I heard what you were saying to him, but I understand. My daughter is a nutritionist, as she's buying Reese's peanut butter cups and potato chips as well. Barbecue, actually. And I'm thinking, ma'am, your daughter's a nutritionist, but you're buying junk food. So therefore, whatever your daughter learned, it doesn't really mean anything to you. Does your daughter eat this? And I named a couple things like candy bars. She's like, oh, why not? And you got to have it in moderation. And she literally said, gotta. I'm like, you think you gotta have it in moderation? And she's like, that way your body knows how to react to it. No, that's not what we do. Doesn't mean that anyone knows something just because they went to school for it. Then on top of it, there's a lot of cases where a person thinks they know something, but that's because when they were taught, they were only taught from what someone else knew or what somebody else wanted people to think. Here's something that I want to make known, because many people who would hear these recordings must think that I look at things and try to take them down and study through them and break them down so that I could put this out for you. But I don't. Every person who comes up to me, something new comes up, and I break it down, and it's always right. And I use examples so that people can see where I'm coming from, so I don't throw them off by coming out of nowhere or out of left field all of a sudden saying, the words are power, and everything in the universe is explained by the word. And A means this shape, and B means this shape, and C. And it throws people completely off. So why not take the time to show them what I mean when I start by saying universe, as in one of us, or one voice, or universe, one of us. One face, one version, one voice, all those things. Now, earth is ear plus hear, where sound and light become solid, or seem solid. Then on top of it, I live in a place that is in Erie County, right outside of Erie, next to the ear, called What I've Heard, Waterford. Living on Clemens Road. Not lumens, not elements, not Clayman, but Clemens. It's all of them together. Elements, Clayman, and lumens, but Lemens. Do you see what I'm saying? Constant to itself, Lemens, Clemens. You can't make this stuff up, and the road next to it is Loop. And I've been telling people, I've been going through this forever. It's not me just playing on words. It's me being honest and seeing that other people really don't understand the depth of the universe like they want to say they do, because they don't. They'll look at some real fascinating video. Wow, look at all those special effects. Wow, that must be the massive meaning of the universe. And it's not. That's just one little portrayal that somebody dug out of their mind and then found a way to portray it to you. Whoopee-doo. Some of it's awesome. Some of it's really pointless. A lot of it means nothing and takes away your attention from things that they should be focused on. Like I've said before, every city, every town, every state, every country, every continent is like a bigger version of a word that things will resonate with. Since I'm in a place called What I've Heard, Waterford, even the places that do certain things within that county or within that area apply to the word. For instance, it's what I've heard. And when you hum, that's a sound. That's what I've heard, okay? Now, if you want to move a body of sound, you'd say, hear unit manifest. That's a hum. The place that we move ourselves around with would be a place you get cars or vehicles. And the place in Waterford, what I've heard, the vehicle place is owned by a family and called Humes. Humes. Hear, unit, manifest, expressed, subject, or subjected. You subject yourself in what? A vehicle. And you are a body of sound. Hum, Humes. Humes. In Waterford. And that's the vehicle company. Do you see what I'm saying? This isn't somebody just saying, oh, look, see how that is? See how that is? All of it is this way. Every religion, every dialect, every story you've ever heard, whether it's real, fake, make-believe, a comic book, all of it, because it resonates with the being it came from. And I am that. And I understand that before you were given your name, before you came into being. I understand that. And that's where I live. And yes, I get very emotional and very abrupt about it because I'm being 100% honest. And nobody really wants to understand what it's like to be Christed. Because they want to look at a book and say they're going to come down and be peace, peace, peace. Not when they're alive in a real world that is everything but peace. Please try to hear what I'm saying. This is all true. You think it's just a coincidence that all of that stuff ends up making sense? And they're real live people. These aren't just me talking about historic figures. They're real live people living right now in this place that we call Universe, Earth, Erie, Waterford, Humes. Bam. And it's all the names, all the people, all the places, they all fit. That's not a coincidence. If you think it's a coincidence, you're keeping yourself stupid on purpose. It's time for me to raise you because no one else is trying to. They're trying to keep you held down. And if you don't want that anymore, then by all means, join somebody who actually gives a damn about you because I do. Till next time, peace and God bless.